In this particular video, we are going to be talking about theory of quadratics. So let's talk about the introduction to theory of quadratics. When we are talking about theory of quadratic, then we are talking about the quadratic equation. So if we are talking about the quadratic equation, this is an equation that has the highest power of 2 in one variable. So a quadratic equation is an equation that has the highest power of 2 in one variable. We have the types of quadratic. We have the pure or affected quadratic equation. This pure or affected quadratic equation is represented as ax squared plus c equals 0. While we have this one is pure or incomplete. While we have the affected quadratic equation, this is represented as ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So after we've known, you have to know that pure or incomplete quadratic equation is this and affected is this. So you have to understand something, that a quadratic equation has the highest power of 2. The highest power in the equation should be what? 2 in one variable. That is, it's going to consist of only one variable, like what? X only. So you have to know that this A will represent the coefficient of x squared, B represent the coefficient of x, while C will represent the constant number. So from here, we are going to talk about the methods of solving quadratic equation. These are the following method. We have the factorization, we have the completing the square, and we also have the almighty formula, which we also refer to as the almighty formula, which we refer to as quadratic equation. And you can also use the calculator method. So, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to be talking about the completing the square method and the almighty formula method. We are going to be starting with the almighty formula, which is the quadratic equation. So generally, you have to know that the almighty quadratic equation is represented as x is equals to minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Do not forget, this a will represent the coefficient of x squared, b represent the coefficient of x, c represent the constant number. In a quadratic equation, we have to understand that b squared minus 4ac represents the discriminant. So the value under this square root, which is b squared minus 4ac, represent the what? The discriminant. So this simply means that d is equals to b squared minus 4ac. So the formula for discriminant is what? D equals b squared minus 4ac. Now the next thing we have to note now is this. What do we mean by the discriminants? This discriminant is what discriminates between the nature of the root we have to get. Whether for a particular quadratic equation we are going to get real roots, or we are going to get complex roots, or we are going to get equal roots. It depends on this word discriminant. So this discriminant is the one that discriminates. So that is what is going to lead us to nature of roots. Nature of roots. This means that what type of roots can we get for a particular equation, nature of roots. So for the nature of roots, The first thing you have to note is that if the discriminant is greater than 0, if the value of the discriminant d is greater than 0, number one, there is going to be real roots. And number two, roots are different or unequal. So whenever the discriminant value is greater than 0, we are going to have real roots, then we are also going to have different or unequal roots. But if the discriminant equals to 0, we will also have real roots. We will also have real roots, and also there will be equal roots. So guys, this simply means that before we can have equal roots, the discriminant value is going to be equal to what? 0. And thirdly, if the discriminant is less than 0, we are not going to have real roots. There's going to be no real roots. No real roots. Number 2, complex or imaginary roots. Also different. So what you have to understand here, guys, is that when the discriminant is greater than 0, we are going to have real roots and different roots. But when the discriminant is equal to 0, we are going to have real roots and equal roots. But when the discriminant is less than 0, there will be no real roots. We are going to have complex or imaginary roots, and there will also be what? Different roots. We have this question, solve this. Solution. The equation given to us is x squared minus 8x plus 16 is equal to 0. We will firstly identify a, b, c. A is the coefficient of x squared. A is equal to 1. B is the coefficient of x. B is equal to minus 8. C is the constant number, that is 16. So if we want to solve an equation, a quadratic equation to be precise, we can use the almighty formula method. The formula is x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Then x is equal to minus b. Our b is minus 8, that is minus 8 plus or minus square root b squared minus 8 all squared minus 4 times 1 times c. Our c is 16 all over 2a, 2 times 1. So our x is equal to, this is minus 1, that is plus 8 plus or minus square root 4 times 16, 60 times 2, that is 32. So 4 times 16 is what? Is 64. So therefore, guys, this will be 64 minus 64, because minus 8 squared was 64 all over 2. 64 minus 64 is 0. So x is equal to 8 over 2, and this is equal to what? 4. So therefore, guys, you have to know that whenever we get our value in this format, this simply means that the value of your x1 is 4, and the value of your x2 is also 4. So this simply means they have equal roots. But let's look at the other example here. That is x squared minus 4x minus 21 is equal to 0. This is question number 2. Identify your a is equal to 1, b is equal to minus 4, c is equal to minus 21. Using this formula, we are going to substitute. That will be minus. Our b is minus 4 plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times minus 21 all over 2a, 2 times 1. Then x is equal to minus times minus is plus, that is 4 plus or minus square root 4 squared is 16, then minus times minus, that is plus 4 times 21, that is 84 all over 2. This equals 4 plus or minus root 16 plus 84, that is 100, all over 2. So this, our x, is equals to 4 plus or minus 10 over 2. This equals 4 plus 10 over 2, or 4 minus 10 over 2. 4 plus 10 is 14 over 2, or minus 6 over 2. And this equals 7 or minus 3. So we have to know something, that if the highest power in the question is 2, then we have to get 2 values for roots. So that is why the first value is 7, the second value is minus 3. But in this case, where we get only one answer, that simply means the value of the first x, the value of the first root will be the same as the value of the what? Second root. Now let's look at some other parts of this quadratic equation. They said, for what value of k will this equation has equal roots? Guys, the equation given to us is x squared minus kx plus 16 is equals to 0. Identify the a, b, and c. A is the coefficient of x squared, a is equals to 1. B is the coefficient of x, b is equals to minus a. And c is the constant number, c is equals to 16. You will then remember that for equal roots, your discriminant d must equals to 0. Remember, the formula for discriminant d is equals to b squared minus 4ac. So therefore, b squared minus 4ac must equals to what? 0. This minus 4ac goes to the other side. B squared is equals to what? 4ac. So whenever you are looking for this type of question, you will just remember that b squared is equals to what? 4ac. Remember, our b is minus k. That will then be minus k all squared is equals to 4 times our a is 1 and our c is 16. So this will be k squared is equals to 64. K is equals to plus or minus 8. So this simply means that for this equation to have an equal root, the value of this k would either be plus 8, or talking about now is alpha and beta roots form of an equation. So you have to understand something, that if alpha and beta are the roots of the equation ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0, find the following. So what you have to notice is that we can generate these general formulas that we're expected to know offhand. The first one is alpha plus beta equals minus b over a, alpha beta equals c over a, alpha squared plus beta squared equals alpha plus beta all squared minus 2 alpha beta, alpha cube plus beta cube is equals to alpha plus beta all cube minus 3 alpha beta alpha plus beta. These are general formulas that you are expected to know offhand. But to each particular question under this aspect, there is a trick way of doing it. So we are going to be looking at the formula method and the trick method in solving questions under this aspect. We have this example. They say that if alpha and beta are the roots of this equation, find alpha plus beta, all these. We can use the formula method, we can use the trick method. The trick method is going to be more useful for you when you don't remember the formula of either this or this. So now let's do this one. So we firstly use the formula method. Write out the equation in the question, that is x squared minus 3x minus 10 is equals to 0. So in this equation, identify a, b, and c. A is the coefficient of x squared. A is equals to 1. B is the coefficient of x. B is equals to minus 3. And c is the constant number. C is equals to minus 10. So identify a, b, and c. The next thing you now do now is that you will now be doing this. The first one is you should look for alpha plus beta. The formula for alpha plus beta is equals to what? Minus b over a. Our b is minus 3, that will be minus 3 over a. Our a is 1 and this equals to 3. The second one we should look for is alpha beta. The formula for alpha beta is what? C over a. Our c is minus 10, that is minus 10 over a. That over 1 and that's equals to what? Minus 10. The third thing we are expected to look for is the alpha squared plus beta squared. You are going to remember that before you can do your alpha squared plus beta squared, you have to remember the formula. The formula for alpha squared plus beta squared is alpha plus beta all squared minus 2 alpha beta. Then the next thing is that you are going to remember that the value of your alpha plus beta, that is 3. So this will be 3 squared minus 2 times your alpha beta, that is minus 10. So 3 squared is 9 plus 20, and that's equals to 29. The next thing we are going to do is that we should look for alpha cube plus beta cube. If you also remember the formula, which is alpha plus beta all cube minus 3 alpha beta alpha plus beta. So you must remember the formula before you can do this. So our alpha plus beta, that is 3 cube minus 3. Our alpha beta, that is minus 10. Our alpha plus beta, that is what? 3. So therefore 3 cube is 27 minus 3 times minus 10, that is 30. 30 plus 30 times 9 times 3, that is what? 90. Then that will be, this minus is plus, so this is plus 90, and this gives us 117. The next thing we expect to do is alpha raised power minus 2, that is alpha raised power minus 2 plus beta raised power minus 2. Now remember, we can firstly rewrite this expression as 1 over alpha squared plus 1 over beta squared using the indices law. The next thing we can look for the LCM. This can then be alpha beta all squared. The LCM of alpha squared plus beta squared, alpha squared and beta squared is going to be alpha squared beta squared, or we say alpha beta all squared. If I should remove alpha squared from this alpha plus alpha beta all squared, it's going to remain beta squared. And if I should remove beta squared from alpha beta all squared, plus it's going to remove what? Alpha squared. And this can still be written as alpha squared plus beta squared all over alpha beta all squared. So therefore guys, so this simply means that the simplification of this expression, alpha raised power minus 2 plus beta raised power minus 2 is equals to alpha squared plus beta squared all over alpha beta all squared. So we firstly have to simplify this expression as this using this method. So remember that our alpha squared plus beta squared has been calculated to be 29. That equals 29 over our alpha beta, that is minus 10, and that's why it's minus 29 over 10. Okay, the last one we have there is that we should do alpha over beta plus beta over alpha. For this also, we are going to look for the LCM. In this case, the LCM is going to be alpha beta. Oh, sorry guys. Yeah, our alpha beta all squared. Our alpha beta is what? Minus 10. So this should be minus 10 all squared. So this will now be 29. Minus 10 all squared is 100. This should be 29 over 100. It should be 29 over 100. So therefore, the LCM here will be alpha beta. If I remove beta from alpha beta, it remains alpha. What is alpha times alpha? Alpha squared. If I should remove alpha from alpha beta, it remains beta. What is beta times beta? Beta squared. So the simplification of this is this. So therefore, guys, the value of my alpha squared plus beta squared has been calculated to be 29. So this will be 29 over, and my alpha beta is what? 10. 29 over 10. So that's how to do it using the formula method. But let's look at the trig method now. Now the trig method is this. We are going to write out the equation given to us, which is x squared minus 3x minus 10 is equals to 0. Now, the next thing we are going to do now, guys, is this. Guys, well, what we are going to do is that we are going to solve quadratically. So guys, if I should solve this expression quadratically, my x1 is going to be 5, my x2 is going to be minus 2. Now, I've solved it quadratically. So you now remember that they say that if alpha and beta are the root of this equation, this simply means that my alpha is going to equals to x1. Alpha is equals to x1, and that's equals to 5. My beta is going to be x2, and that's equals to what? Minus 2. So everything they ask me to do, I'll just be doing directly. So the first one is, I should look for alpha plus beta. That will just be, my alpha is what? 5. My beta is what? Minus 2. What is 5 minus 2? That is what? 3. You see that alpha plus beta we got is also what? 3. So we can actually use this method or this method. Number 2, I'm looking for alpha beta. My alpha is 5, my beta is -2. That is 5 times -2, and that's equals to -10. The same thing we got here. The next one, guys, we have to look for alpha square plus beta square plus beta square. My alpha is 5, that is 5 squared, plus my beta is -2 squared. 5 squared is 25, plus -2 squared is 4, that's equals to 29. The same thing we got here. The next one is we should look for alpha cube plus beta cube. My alpha, that is 5 raised to power 5, 5 raised to power 5, sorry, 5 raised to power 3, plus -2 raised to power 3. So guys, 5 raised to power 3, that is 5 times 5 times 5, 5 times, that will be 5 times 5 times 5. So that will be 125. Because -2 raised to power 3, that is 8. That is -8. And this gives us 117. Next thing we have to do now, guys, is to do the alpha raised to power -2 plus beta raised to power -2. We can firstly write it as 1 over alpha square plus 1 over beta square. Then guys, remember that our alpha is 5, our beta is -2. So this can be 1 over 5 squared plus 1 over -2 squared. Then this can equals 1 over 25 plus 1 over 4. Then guys, 1 over 25 plus 1 over 4, the LCM will be 100. 25 in 100, that is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 in 25, 4 in 100 is 25. 25 times 1 is 25. Then this equals 29 over 100. That is what we got here also. And finally, we have to do alpha over beta plus beta over alpha. Our alpha is 5, our beta is -2, our beta is -2, our alpha is 5. So this equals -5 over 2 -2 over 5. We're going to look for the LCM. The LCM of this and this is 10. 2 in 10, that is 5. 5 times -5, that is -25. Minus 5 in 10, 2. 2 times 2, that is 4. And this equals -29 over 100 over 10. So that's the same thing we got here the other time, but just to be minus. So that is that, guys. Let's move on to how to formulate an equation. So therefore, guys, we have the next topic, which is formation of equation. How do we form an equation? So you have to know that the general expression for the formation of an equation is given as x squared minus sum of root x plus product of root is equals to 0. So there is a short form for this. The sum of roots can be written as s, the product of root as what? P. So that simply means x squared minus sx plus p is equals to 0. So therefore, we have an example here. They say form an equation whose roots are -3 and 7. Just write solution. Then remember, to form an equation, we are going to be using x squared minus sum of root x plus product of root is equals to what? 0. The roots given to us are -3 and 7. We first look for the sum. That is -3 plus 7. That's equals to 4. We will also look for the products. That is -3 times 7. And that's equals to what? -21. So therefore, using this formula, the equation is going to be x squared minus, the sum is 4x, plus the product is -21. -21. Minus times plus, that will then be x squared minus 4x minus 21. And this is the equation required. So therefore, the next example we have here now, guys, is that if alpha and beta are the root of this equation, if alpha and beta are the root of the equation, we should look for form an equation whose root are that. Guys, it's very simple, but we have some steps to take. You know they say that if alpha and beta are the root of this equation, then they put full stop here, right? So therefore, there is my solution. For this type of question, this equation that we have here, which is 3x squared plus 6x plus 2. Let us firstly look for the, you know, in this equation, our A is equals to 3, our B is equals to 6, our C is equals to 2. So let's firstly look for alpha plus beta. Don't forget our alpha plus beta is equals to minus B over A. That is, our B is 6, right? That is minus 6 over 3. And our alpha beta is equals to C over A. That's equals to 2 over 3. This is the first thing we are going to do. So for the first part of the question, we will first look for the alpha plus beta and what? Alpha beta. So the next part of the question is that we should form an equation whose roots are this and this. So this simply means that these are the first roots, these are the new roots. We are going to look for sum of new roots. Sum of new roots. Guys, we are going to look for the sum of new roots. The first new root is minus alpha square over beta, and the second one is minus beta square over alpha. So that will be minus alpha square over beta plus minus beta square over alpha. This sum of new roots is going to turn to minus alpha square over beta plus times minus beta square over alpha. So guys, we are going to look for the LCM. The LCM is going to be alpha beta. Beta from alpha beta, it remains beta. It remains alpha. Alpha times alpha square, that is minus alpha cube. If I should remove alpha from alpha beta, it remains beta. And this will be minus beta cube. Because beta times beta square is equal to beta cube. Like I can have an expression like minus alpha cube plus beta cube all over alpha beta. Okay? So therefore, guys, I'm going to get my alpha cube plus beta cube. That would be alpha plus beta all cube minus 3 alpha beta alpha plus beta. Alpha plus beta, that is minus 6 over 3 all cube minus 3 alpha beta 2 over 3, and alpha plus beta, that is minus 6 over 3. So guys, we got minus 4 here. Now after the sum of new roots, we will also look for the product of new roots. That will be, okay guys, we are not done with sum of new roots actually. So the sum is going to be, you know what we have here is minus alpha cube plus beta cube all over alpha beta. That will then be minus our alpha plus alpha cube plus beta cube, that is minus 4 all over our alpha beta. Our alpha beta is 2 over 3, that is 2 over 3. That's equals to 12 over 2, and that's equals to 6. If you express this, you will get 12 over 2, and this gives you 6. Therefore, guys, we are done with sum of new roots. We will also look for the product of new roots. Products of new roots. Now, guys, for the product of new roots, we are going to be looking for the multiplication of the new roots. So this will be minus alpha square over beta multiplied by minus beta square over alpha. minus times minus is plus. This will be alpha squared beta squared over alpha beta. This can be alpha beta all squared over alpha beta. So therefore, the product of new roots is going to be, if I should remove alpha from alpha beta all squared, it remains alpha beta. And the formula, the value for the product of new root is going to be what? 2 over 3. So therefore, guys, equation, the new equation required would be x squared minus sum of new roots multiplied by x plus products of new roots is equals to 0. This would be x squared minus the sum of new roots. The sum of new roots is 6. That is 6x plus the product of new roots, that is 2 over 3. 2 over 3 is equals to 0. So we can do this. We can multiply everything by 3. Then finally we are going to get that 3x squared minus 6x plus minus 18. Because 3 times 1 is 3x squared, 3 times 6 is minus 18x, and 2 over 3 times 3, that is 2. Is equals to 0. This is the final answer. So guys, you know all these complex solution that we did here, I have a short way of doing it for you. Let's look at this. There's a trick method of doing this. Let's look at this trick method. The trick method is this. They said if alpha and beta are the roots of this equation. Guys, they said alpha and beta are the root of this equation, right? So this is what we are going to do. You know the equation is 3x squared plus 6x plus 2 is equals to 0. We can solve this equation quadratically. Solve quadratically. So this method is going to be very sweet if you are using the calculator method. So let's solve that equation quadratically. We all know the method of solving a quadratic equation. So we are going to get the first value, x1. Don't forget that your alpha is going to equal to the first value, x1. And that is minus 3 plus root 3 all over 3. The second value, beta, is going to be x2. And that is minus 3 minus root 3 over 3. So guys, that's the first thing we are going to do. You know they say if alpha and beta are the root of this equation. So we are going to solve this equation quadratically. We will get our first value x1 as alpha, our second value x2 as what? Beta. On the calculator, we can store this value as A. We can also store this value as B. They then say form an equation whose roots are these, right? So therefore, you will now do something. This is what you are going to do. You will now look for sum of new roots. Don't forget that is, this will be, you know, this is the first new root, this is the second new root. That will now be minus alpha squared over beta plus minus beta squared over alpha. So therefore, guys, if you have already stored your alpha as A on the calculator and your beta as B on the calculator, you will just do minus A squared over beta plus over B plus minus B squared over A. Do you get that? So this simply means that this expression here, don't forget that our alpha is equals to this, right? So this simply means we are doing something like our alpha is, that will be minus 3 plus root 3 all over 3 all squared over beta. My beta is minus 3 minus root 3 all over 3. All over 3. This method is very sweet if you are using a calculator. Plus, open brackets. You know there is minus here. Let's put the minus here. My beta is minus 3 minus root 3 all over 3 over alpha, and my alpha is minus 3 plus root 3 all over 3. So this is the sum of the new roots. If you should add this plus this, guys, you are going to get everything here to be 6. Yes. So therefore, we are looking for the sum of the new roots. We also look for the product of the new roots. Products of new roots. So therefore, guys, you know that would be minus alpha square over beta times minus beta square over alpha. So that will just be minus, open bracket, my alpha is minus 3 plus root 3 over 3 all squared all over, my beta is minus 3 minus root 3 over 3 times, you know we are looking for the product, times minus again, open bracket, my beta is minus 3 minus root 3 over 3 all over minus 3 plus root 3 over 3 all squared. So therefore, sorry, this one has no square. So if you do this together, you will also get it to be 2 over 3. So this that we are writing, if you are using the Casio 991 ES plus, you don't have to be undergoing all this stress of writing again. Once you've gotten your alpha to be this, your beta to be this, just store your alpha as A on the calculator, store your beta as B on the calculator, then press minus A square over B plus minus B square over A, you will get 6. Also press minus A square over B times minus B square over A, you will also get what? 2 over 3. So this simply means this is the sum of the new roots, this is the product of the new roots. So therefore, the equation is going to be, you know, you are going to be using x squared minus sum of root x plus what? Product of root is equals to 0. That will then be x squared minus the sum of roots, that is 6. That is minus 6x. Why the product of root is what? 2 over 3. And finally, the answer will be what? X squared minus 18x plus 6 is equals to 0. So you can decide to use any of the methods that you can see above. Thank you for watching. See you in our next tutorial video.